W4DVQ. You hear me, Mike?
Well, good morning, Chuck. It's a beautiful day.
W7MS.
10.
W7MS, K0DWC. Sounding good, Mike.
Okay, well, I'm going to go back to my coffee, but yeah, probably like you, I'm tweaking and peeking. W7MS.
Yeah, fine. That's good. Yeah, you're sounding good this morning, Mike. You're on something different, I can tell. So. I'll be standing by. Carl's going to be net control.
Number 1, and I got Chuck in number 2. Is there any others out there that'd like to check in early? W4DVQ click.
W6 SSP.
Bravo, Bravo.
Okay, good morning, Steve. W6 SSP, I got you in number 3 spot. And good morning to Bill in 6 BCT. I got you in the number 4 spot. Is there anybody else want to check in and be number 5?
I tried earlier. This K6 VXY, King 6 Victor X-ray Yankee.
Good morning, Vern. K6 VXY. I got you in the number 5 spot. Is there anybody else out there that'd like to be an early check-in and be number 6? Please come now. Okay, one last call for early check-ins, and then I'll get the net going. If anybody want to be number 6, please come now. Okay, good morning. QST, QST, QST. This is the Vintage Military Radio Net. This is Whiskey 4, Delta Victor, Quebec. My name is Carla, and I will be your net control this morning. We will be operating on 3974 KC. The Vintage Military Radio Net is a roundtable AM net that provides an opportunity for hams to use their gear on the air. Military gear is encouraged, but not certainly not required. So just check in with what you have. You're more than welcome. Check-ins will be given a number that can be used in the handoff. I will call for check-ins at the end of each roundtable session. If anyone has anything for sale or want, please mention it during your turn on the roundtable session. So, with that, I'm going to go ahead and get it going. First, I have, in the number 1 spot, I have Mike, W7MS. In the number 2 spot, I have Chuck, K0DWC. Number 3 is Steve, W6SSP. Number 4 is Bill, N6BCT. Number 5 is Vern, K6VXY. Is there anybody else would like to check in and be number 6? Please come now. Okay, this is Carla here, W4DVQ. My equipment, the transmitter is an ART-13, listening on an R274 and a D104 microphone. So I'm going to go ahead and get the first round going. So up to Mike. W7MS, this is Whiskey 4, Delta Victor, Quebec.
Well, good morning, Carla. Good morning, Chuck, and the other folks here on frequency, W7MS. Well, yeah, it's a great morning. It's so dark 30, and this morning running some of the Collins PCS equipment on dyno power and a 30S1 amplifier, about 250 watts of carrier. So that we'll keep it short for the first round here. So over to Chuck, K0DWC, W7MS.
Okay. All right, Mike. Well, the PCS is sounding really, really good, as usual. I knew you want something else. It's sounding good this morning, Mike. It's relatively quiet over here, other than a little bit of foreign broadcast, music or whatever, but not too bad over here this morning. I don't know how cold it is. I know it's pretty cold outside over here. I'll leave it to Henry when he reports it. Anyway, I'm running the same equipment tomorrow, an ART-13, R274 Halitraptors, D104 microphone, all of it. Well, on the R274, we've got the magnetic loop on, and listening through that, and the inverted V for the ART-13. So anyway, we'll keep it going, and I'll send it back over to net control. Or no, I won't. Excuse me. I send it over to Steve, W6SSP. Go ahead, Steve.
Okay, thank you, Chuck, and good morning, everybody. Carla, Mike, Chuck, Bill, everybody on this morning. These are fairly good. About average, unfortunately. That's how it goes. Anyway, weather conditions are starting to kick in a little bit, which is nice. So hopefully things will improve as the winter progresses. Let's see. This is Steve, W6SSP, just now from Santa Rosa. Unusual Collins 32B1 transmitter, about 85 watts out, D104 microphone, and receiver is the matching 75A1. So we'll keep it going, and we'll send it down to Bill after the N6BCT.
That's the story there. And otherwise, everything is going pretty good. We haven't gotten everything out of the house. It seems like everything that would take a long time to get fixed. And I will take a cold shower this morning instead of hot water when you get over. But I made it fixed. So anyway,
VXY. Got here in the nick of time, I guess. The handle's burned. Victor EC Roger Nancy running a ICOM 7200 with a companion Arc 5 from the swap mate. Not using it, just sits there between that and the SC200, which I use to run. Today I'm running, I don't know, 90 watts or so. And I will keep it short. That's a good tip there from Mike. Let's see. Groveland, California. Antenna. I got 2 of them. Been working on them good part of the week to improve the signal. Over to number 6 is back to deck control. I think we didn't get a number 6. Good morning, Carla, and Chuck, and Steve, and Bill, and of course Mike. W4DVQ. I'm not even writing the call numbers down right. Next week's going to be really something with the daylight savings time change. Back to you, Carlos, K6VXY.
Okay, K6VXY. This is Whiskey 4, Delta Victor, Quebec. Very good. Everybody had a really nice signal considering the conditions. But let me call out and see if somebody'd like to get on the tail end of first go-around and be number 6. Please come now. Okay, nothing heard. So, yeah, it's a little cold this morning. Even the birds, when I went out to feed the horses, all fuzzed up and everything, not moving, waiting on the sunshine to peek through. But that's about it for me right now. Let me just double check and make sure somebody's not out there before we go the second go around. Anybody want to be number 6? Please come now.
Good morning. This is Montague. W6 Able Queen Uncle.
Good morning, Bob. W6 AQU. Go ahead and make a transmission and hand it back to me. W4DVQ. Go ahead, Bob.
W4DVQ. And whomever else. This is W6 Able Queen Uncle. Well, I was in here earlier and there was nothing on the frequency. And then it dawned on me that I had not switched the antenna to this station. So off I went into the cold and out to the shop, and the switch was going that way. So anyhow, it works in here now. We're kind of cheating. We're using a 7300 and an ST221 at about 200 watts into a big long piece of wire. You're loud and clear. I'll kick it back to you and I'll find out who else is in here. It's almost still dark here. This is W6 Able Queen Uncle in Montague.
Okay, W6AQU, W4DVQ. Is there anybody else out there who would like to check in and be number 7? Please come out. It sounded like somebody tried. Number 7, please check in now.
That might be a little better. WA7YBS.
That's number 1. This is the second go-around. W7MS. This is Whiskey 4, Delta Victor, Quebec.
Go ahead and pick up Henry on a double.
Okay, before we start the second go-around, Henry, I put you in number 7 spot. Go ahead and make a transmission and hand it up to me. Go ahead, Henry.
Hello, W4DVQ WA7YBS. All right. Well, good morning. A little bit late getting in here. I kind of thought, you know, the way things are, we should be going a little bit later, but that's okay. We're on the ART 1300 and 25 watts, and to the collinear array receiver is the HR07 table model black wrinkle finish, and let's see, it was 26 this morning, so there we go. That's the report. Back to you, W4DVQ WA7YBS.
WA7YBS, W4DVQ here. Is there anybody else who'd like to check in and be number 8? Please come now. Okay, nothing heard. So second go around, up to Mike, W7MS. Oh, before that, good morning, Henry. W7MS to take it. This is Whiskey 4, Delta Victor, Quebec.
Well, thank you, Carla. W7MS here in Mike and Reno. Good morning again to you, Carla and Chuck, and of course, good morning to Steve, Bill, Vern, Bob, and welcome to the group, Henry. Yeah, I think the Bible study group wrapped up around 6:45, closed the official net out, and I guess there was everybody had things to do, so there was no post-net conversation. So that explains the earlier start. One never knows, but that's the way that goes. And a refresher for Henry this morning, running the Collins TCS station on Dynamotor with the afterburner on the Collins 30S1, 250 watts of carrier, and running the amplified D104 microphone. And weather report, 24 degrees here for the low. Over the week here, the previous few mornings, we had a low of 22 degrees. And the big storm dumped over those 2 days 1/2 inch of precipitation into my rain gauge. So that's fairly respectable stuff. And let me see, nice to hear Steve this morning. He's been absent the past couple of weeks, but we have done some email exchanges. He's been a busy guy, and he's contemplating some very monumental projects, so it's great to hear him. And my monumental project, at least, was producing some RF out, and that's the home-built, home-engineered power supply for the Technical Material Corporation's RFD-1A amplifier. I guess the complete system is known as a PAL-1K. So I was able to stick in 100 milliwatts and got 200 watts of carrier out of the tube. So I think we're on our way, and everything seems to be functioning except for some basic, maybe reverse engineering and forward engineering and modifications. But we didn't produce any smoke. Didn't get across the 3,000 volts. And did lose a MOSFET regulator for the 500 volt regulated line. No explanation for that, but other than the fact that the MOSFET was made in China, so we'll blame those guys. Other projects, proceeding with the SCR 183 that I picked up from everybody's good friend, Mr. Tom in Richmond, at the N7 RCA swap meet, and coming up with some resolutions for the missing junction box, the infamous missing junction box. And what was interesting on that was I was at Habitat for Humanity in Sparks, the everybody's favorite thrift store for construction materials, and found some flexible conduit fittings. They'll do a great substitution on the J-box, and I'll use a die-cast Hammond box, and that eliminates the connector issues. We'll basically just have pendant cables, pigtails from the J-box, but that's going to proceed. As soon as I wrap up this TMC project, which has taken about 300% longer than I thought, but considering I started with 0 and we're maybe at 75%, we're well on our way. So over to you, Chuck. K0DWC W7MS.
Okay, Mike. W7MSK0 DWC. Well, congratulations on the projects there, my friend. You are a busy bee, and it sounds like Steve is a very busy bee. Look forward to hearing what Steve's got cooking there. It's good to hear Steve back. Steve, you got a really, really nice signal into Dayton Valley this morning. Everybody does, really. Bill was Q5 copy, and I want to acknowledge his communication with John, W6MIT, and we're glad that Bill's doing well, too. And hang in there, Bill. You're doing a fantastic job over there. So, nice copy. Vern, you're pounding in. I want to say good morning to Bob, and good morning to Henry. Henry, I was starting to wonder. I didn't know if I had to give Sharon a quick call or not. Oh, I'm just playing. But you're sounding fantastic this morning as well. And we'll keep it going. So we will send it back over to the Bay Area. W6SSP in group K0DWC. It's all yours, Steve.
Okay, thank you, Chuck, and good morning, Bob and Henry. Good to hear you guys on. And yeah, Mike, very good on your project. TMC made some really nice stuff. My buddy here close by is a big fan of TMC. He's always asked me if I found anything new for him. I've got a few TMC things, but not many. Anyway, yeah, projects. You know, this time of year, well, about this time of year, I'm always collecting projects for the winter to keep things busy, and that's what I'm doing. So that's what Lincoln is usually about to me. And that's a couple of really cool projects. One of them being another column 75 for one receiver to go with the Orphan 32V one I had. So now I've got 3 complete sets. Nobody needs 3 complete sets, but hey, that's how it goes. Anyway, it was sort of an interesting thing. I arranged for purchase before the swap net, or before the swap meet, and didn't really take a very close look at it. So about a week later, when I finally opened the lid and took a closer look, I discovered that the original PTO was missing, and the PTO from the column R388 was installed instead. I've never heard of that before. I've asked Henry, he said he'd never heard of it either, but turns out both PTOs have the same frequency range, same number of turns, same tuning direction, stuff like that, so it's feasible. And electrically, it was a fairly easy restoration, typical for 75A1. Mechanically, it was a little more challenging, but I got it figured out, and only took about a week or so. And it's pretty good. It works darn well. Very clean. Nice addition to the collection. So that was one of the projects. The more challenging projects were I purchased 4 really high-end Tektronix spectrum analyzers. These are later, late 80s, early to mid-90s, 21 gigahertz spectrum analyzers. Of course, this is these were some of the things we know with HP instruments, so I'm pretty familiar with how they work. But never owned a Tektronix spectrum analyzer in that line before. And 1 worked, 3 didn't. 2 were an easy fix. The 3rd one was a dog. I mean, a real dog. So that could be you can have to find the way to look at on that one. They're all working now, and learned a heck of a lot more about how to build spectrum analyzers. A lot of fun. Very entertaining. And the last project was a HKIP H77, which is a solid-state rig. And I have an HW8, which I was very impressed with. And I've heard some pretty negative comments about the HW7. Pretty much verified that. It's a very, very different transceiver and not very good. So that's fun. That's back on the shelf. So I'm looking for new projects. I've moved through my winter projects in less than a month. That's right there. Anyway, enough from me. Over to Bill. W4DVQ W6.
Bravo, Charlie Tango. Good morning, all. It's the benefit. Anybody wants to call John, I can give you his phone number. Anyway, like I said, I'm going to talk over 2 o'clock on the telephone, which is the only way I can communicate with him. It's up there in Florida. Stuff like that. And I think we can't get the FWR that I use to install so that we can listen to guys, which would be nice because he doesn't have a antenna group, so he can't get on the air anymore. But anyway, so there you go. Anyway, so that's the story here. So over to, let's see, K6DXY. That's 6, Bravo, Charlie Tango.
Okay, thanks, Bill. 95.1. Okay. Yeah, I've been very busy this last week with the ham radio stuff, raising and lowering antennas. I got some more parts. I think I got some of it in last week, but I'm going to get a new lead-in. I'm using the old one more time as a backup, and I'm on the antenna that I started with here, and then my backup antenna itself has improved. I've got it higher. Still want to catch it. I've been trying to do clever things to get that even higher, but it comes close to matching the better antenna that's a pure 80-meter antenna now at 40 feet with the apex. More than that at one side, and then on the other side it's about, I don't know, 50 or 60 feet. It's hard to tell. I don't have a measuring thing that, I'm not that tall to measure it, but that's an estimate. So, and I'm here in Montague, Bob, I'm hearing you a lot better than I had been. I mean, you're 10 over at least, and you're doing really well. I'm concerned about next week. I mentioned that earlier. I think we go to daylight savings time. I'm sorry, we go back to standard time, which means the net wouldn't even start till a half hour from now if we went early. It's going to be kind of rough there for a while with the sun up. The sun is up here right now. It's kind of wet out there, but that always looks wet there on that driveway. I don't think he's got a sprinkler system while he's gone or what. I should check that. Anyhow, I'm going to try a quick little test here. I'm switching to the other antenna. This one works almost as well as the A antenna. And I got that up in that high tree also at one end. But it's caught on an oak tree, not allowing it to get as high as it could be. Let me do a real quick test here. I'm going to turn down the carrier here. Whoop. I did something wrong. What did I do wrong? I'm not thinking. Oh, okay. Stay with the other antenna. Okay. There we go. I didn't like that at all. It's okay on receive, but on transmit I've got to tweak it a little bit. So that's why I didn't check in earlier. I had that antenna in there. I got to figure out what I did. And on the air is not the time to test it. I can test it when someone else is transmitting. And good morning, Henry. Nice to hear you there. And haven't heard any comments on daylight savings time ending. In the spring, it's kind of a pain because it makes things tough for a little while. But in the fall, it gets pretty bad. Oh, there goes the fan again. That's the one Mike commented he could hear. Rush, 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 rush. Okay, over to number 6 there, WA6 AQU. It's a really good signal today, K6 BXY. This morning. W6 Able Queen Uncle. Well, the sun is trying to come over the mountain. It's good and white. All right, all stations actually are over at 9 this morning. MS is 104 and Marcus 3 sounding good. EWC 11 good in Valley. A lot of hills between us. SSA running out of projects. Well, if you over here, I could give you a pickup load and you could carry them home, but you have to lift them. Your shed full of stuff that you're not going to ever get to. BCT. Over them hills are happening today. Bill, you're still doing good. Okay on John. I can't imagine his license going. You say his computer's down. Wow, well, you got a grace period, I think. Vern, no squirrel report, but antenna reports. Well, you're doing good. And good morning to Henry. Hey, Henry and I guess both slept in this morning. I was quite surprised that Carl had this thing going way before everybody. Carl, you started too early. The time I got in here was the second round. All right. So, am I the last guy? No, it goes to Henry. WA7YBS. This is W6 Able Queen Uncle. Go ahead.
Okay, Bob. W6AQU. WA7YBS. Yeah, okay, very good. And yeah, well, you know, it was. I was anticipating how it's been the last few weeks. There's always been a conversation going on after the net before us, and they kind of keep the frequency tied up for, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 minutes. About 10 minutes maybe at the most. So that was what I was anticipating, was that. And, well, I guess they signed off early today. So, anyway, that's what you get for anticipation. And let's see, yeah, Steve, on the what is that? So that's a 70E15 PTO out of the R388. And I'm sure you know, and if you know, you've certainly found out that those PTOs do not age well. And it seems to just be that model, the 70E15. You know, the ones in R398s are excellent. They age quite well. And the ones in the, like the A4 and stuff like that seem to be fine. And, you know, what was the original one in there? I think it was a 70... E8A or something like that. And look, this is square boxed PTO, and that one does real good. But I don't know. I don't know if it's the ferrite core or the 24-hour, 7-day-a-week use that the R388's got. But something really messed up those PTOs. And the last one I worked on had 12 kc of endpoint error. The one before that I worked on had 15 kc of endpoint error. And one I worked on for Chuck, well, actually I threw it away, but Chuck had one that was had 30 kc of endpoint error. That one just barely worked. So yeah, something in there. The most common belief is that it's the ferrite core. in those, something happens to them. But if you read the Collins literature, the minute that you open that plug to do an endpoint adjustment the first time, that PTO was on borrowed time. As soon as you broke the vacuum in there, you were supposed to send it back. It was only a stopgap measure, like you had to get it aligned or something. But so you took it out and did the endpoint adjustment, but you were supposed to send that back to Collins as soon as possible, so that they could do all of their little magic and get it back. So you kind of wonder if maybe that was true, that the air getting in and the moisture and things like that affected the ferrite or did something. Anyway, enough on the R388 PTO. Let's see. I should be a little bit better now. I mean, I didn't have it. I just kind of set the Johnson matchbox to where I thought it should be, and it was a little bit off, but it's better now. So we should be, at least as far as the match, as far as the 813 on the ART13 is concerned, is better. So let's see. Bike sounds good on the TCS. Chuck sounds good on the ART13. Steve's coming in here good on the Collins G1. Bill was pretty close to Q5. Got stronger as you went along, so that was good. And Vern, nice Q5, strong signal, and Bob, also good strong signal, so that's that. Let's see, on projects, I don't know why I started this, but I did. I was going to repaint a front panel on a Hammerland SP600. Why? I don't know. But at any rate, in the course of doing this, I discovered that the BFO didn't work on this particular SP600 that was going to be the subject of this repaint. And it turned out that little coil form inside the BFO can came unglued again. And this is the second time that the very same coil form came unglued from the little metal cups that are supposed to hold it. And the first time the front cup came loose, this time the back cup came loose. So I think they forgot to put the glue in, is what happened. But at any rate, that whole BFO assembly was replaced with another one. So hopefully that one has gone the way of the garbage can. And so anyway, but the interesting thing was I found a box of SP600 parts, a nice front panel, and a really nice set of dials, and one of the Marion Electric carrier level meters. I was mystified. Where did this stuff come from? And then as I was looking around, I saw the address on the box that all this junk was in, Mr. T. I guess Mr. T parted out an SP600 at one time, and well, somewhere along the line he gave me the box of parts. So anyway, thanks to Mr. T, this project is going along. And of course the warm weather coming up will mean painting might be possible. So with that, back to Carla, W4DVQ WA7YBS.
Okay, WA7YBS, this is Whiskey 4, Delta Victor, Quebec. Well, let me see if there's anybody out there who would like to get in on the tail end of this round and be number 8. Come now, please. Okay, nothing heard. So, well, guys, I know I started early, I guess. But I'm anxious to eat my Tony the Tiger frosted flakes this morning. So I'm starved to death. But, Phil, be sure and tell John I said hello. Missed his voice on the air. Everybody sounding good. I don't know if anybody else heard this noise, but on Steve and Bill, when they make transmissions, it sounds like a beacon on top of them. At least through my R274. I don't know if anybody else heard this or not. But anyhow, I'll just keep it going. But I changed my mind. I don't have any projects other than digging through my stuff to see what I do have. But I'm not sure. I got to clean up my little craft room / radio room. It's a disaster in there. So that's the first project. I got to organize. So that's my goal. So back up to the top. W7MS. This is the 73 round, guys. So take your time. W7MS, Whiskey 4, Delta Victor, Quebec. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, thanks, Carla. W4DVQ with K0DWC in the co-pilot seat, W7MS. Well, fine on all. Vern's sounding great on the AV comparison. We'll maybe see if there are any other comments out there, but everything's working. Steve is a busy man. And great on the Tektronix SAs. Yeah, my friend Tom here in Reno, who I've mentioned before, who's worked for HP, Tektronix, and also some of the associated companies like Anritsu and their predecessor company, which Wiltron over in the Bay Area. We were talking about that because we were funking around with I forgot the Tektronix SA specific model number, but decided just to give it to the local ham club over the hill at one of the swap meets for their cell table. But we got into what he did at Tech, and he was in sales, engineering sales for SAs. So it was interesting. So the joke was, how much time did you spend on the golf course with your clients selling test equipment? That was one of his functions there at Tech. He didn't have his sleeves rolled up over the engineering table there in the lab, but was in sales. That was an interesting conversation. So that's blither blather, but that's okay. Carla said take your time. Carla wants her frosted flakes. And I'm sure we'll find out what Chuck's going to have for breakfast also. But let me see. Fine on John. Well, sorry to hear John's having issues with computers. That's certainly not unusual. And Bob's got too much stuff. Well, I'm going to put out, in the official preamble, there's wants and gives and sells and giveaways. But since I'm late to the game, or I'm revisiting my 15-year-old self, and that's with the Command Set series, I literally got a mound. I wasn't even thinking it was a pile, but a mound of Command Set pieces, actually specifically ART5s and ATA and ARAs, and some really hacked up SCR274Ns at our last local swap meet from Mr. Bradley, and also had a few donations from Rex here recently for an ARC-5, and I think it's an ATA transmitter. But I've got all this stuff, so I'm kind of reinvigorated, and I'd really love to find a MD7 plate modulated modulator for the ARC-5s. And since I have the ATAs and they're screen modulated, the BC456 and the associated dyno and cables, connectors, but that's a long wish. But I figured it's worth a try because years ago I gifted a BC456 to somebody over the hill so they could get their SCR274N set going with that mighty 10 watts of screen modulation. So that's kind of on my wish list for a future project, maybe sometime this winter. Or maybe we'll just be stuck on CW. We'll just have to see, but we're got reinvigorated, and unlike my 15-year-old self, I'm not breaking out the drill, the chassis punch, and I'm not reading through the modification book from CQ magazine. We'll keep everything original and everything except the aircraft. We don't have that. So that's what's going on here. But with that, 7-3s from Reno. It's been fun, and the sun's a rising. And as Henry mentioned, we're going to be in a mini heat wave here based on the previous couple of days. So break out the paint can, Henry. K0DWC, W7MS.
Okay, Mike. W7MS from the group K0DWC. All right, very good. Well, that TCS sounded really good, Mike. Like I said, I knew you were on something different when I first heard your job there. And everybody enjoy this little bit warmer weather coming up. I got a few things I got to do outside. Well, Henry, I'll get into that one gable and see if I can find the parts there for you. And I'm sure they're in one of the two boxes. Anyway, everybody's sounding really good still here. No problems at all with anybody, not even Bill. Burns pounding in really good. Bob, and of course Henry, and Steve's got a good, clear signal in the Dayton Valley this morning. And of course Mike is pounding in as well. So pretty good conditions overall. But Vern, daylight savings time is November the 3rd, which is 2 weeks from now. I'll be net control that morning. It's on a Sunday morning, and 2 weeks from now. So that's daylight savings time. So anyway, I'll say my 7-3s and thank you everybody for being there. I will send it over to Steve, W6SSP. K0DWC.
Okay, Chuck, I think you turned it over to me. You said that real deep fade there at the end. Let's check. Yeah, I think I got it. Anyway, conditions are holding up pretty good. A little more QSC, but much better than conditions we experienced during the summer. So it's nice to hear everybody on today. And let's see, question comment. Henry Young is WD15 CPO. Yeah, I caught that in my R2 as well. I got it fairly close. But amazingly, the one that was in the 75A1, after I got all the mechanical stuff sorted out, only had a 3kC endpoint error. And you know what they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That really applies to college CPO. I've been with for a couple of years, so 3kC I can live with. Every time I tell them to the one, I'm not making a mistake a lot. Knowing that works well. And on the SP600, congrats on that. It's always nice to, people criticize some of us for being pack rats, but there's a big advantage to that. Finding a really nice front panel is, wow, that's cool. That's great. You know, one thing I've noticed about SP600 is it used to be fairly plentiful at swap meets, but the past few years I haven't seen a single one at a swap meet, which is kind of strange. There's a whole bunch of them out there. And Mike, let's see. Oh yeah, I wanted to comment on CNC stuff. Many years ago now, a difficulty invited into KFS, this is Palo Alto, before they cleared out the building. And one of the things there was this beautiful, massive CNC press. I would guess it was maybe 10 feet wide, probably 7 feet tall, whatever, very deep. And like all CNC gear, it was beautifully built, a long since forgotten model number. But the only problem with it was it had been left outside of the not just the case. Something out of it. Yeah,
What's going on? I've got the wrong antenna. Wait a second, folks. Hello, test. Okay. Yeah, I had the tuner in the wrong position. I'm here. Sort of. Well, thanks there, Chuck, on daylight savings time. I got one more week. Did have a brief squirrel report. I'll do it now since we're signing, but in the middle of all this rope work, which I spent several days on, because I got to be careful because the leg is still repairing, and you know the knee surgery is doing really, really good, but I can't overdo it. But I had one run up a new tree that I was messing with, and just I thought, oh, I bet that's a challenge. And I thought, yeah, forget it, squirrel. You're working with rubber covering steel on these ropes going over the tree, so you may think you're gonna give me a hard time, but you're not. See, I imagine I'm talking to these squirrels. 73's all, and we got another good week here of sunrise, sunset. I was glad to hear that. And I'm turning it over to W6 AQU Bob up there in Montague, K6 BX flight.
Very good, Vern. Good morning to you and the squirrels. And 7-3's Chuck, Steve, Bill. Wow. Just Henry and I left. Yeah, it was too cold last night. Much more here. Maybe if I head to the gallery, there'll be something out there to eat. Looks like Henry's going to be able to tie the ribbons on it. WA7YDS. I can't match your 26 this morning. I think we're 46. W6 Able Queen Uncle.
Good Rob. W6AQU, WA7YDS. All right. Yeah, I'm looking at a scope here that I set up as a modulation monitor, and it is giving me some kind of unusual. Well, anyway, I dig around on it. Anyway, mainly because over where I have the ART13, and the HRO7 set up, I can't see the regular scope, and of course the Johnson Matchbox has got to be at least 12 feet away, so you can't ever, really get everything all set up the way you want. And okay, well, I guess one thing on that Hammerland, that SP600, and Steve observing that you don't see too many of them around anymore. I don't know. They just, at one time, they were, I don't know, well-respected receiver. And I think people kind of got the impression, after maybe a decade or two of actually using them, they aren't that great. They're okay, but I mean, there's a lot of better receivers. I don't know how Hammerland ever walked into all of the contracts that they had for those things, but they must have had a good salesman that knew how to soft soap those guys on the golf course, like Mike was saying. But at any rate, the SP600 is certainly impressive looking, but it's just an average receiver, I think. But I agree. You don't see them, and it could be a weight factor. Weight factor is always, as every successive swap meet that we go to, it seems that weight becomes more and more and more of an issue. Weight and size. and that's probably why that TCM was out there in the weeds. Nobody could move it. But at any rate, this SP600 I've had for 25 years or so. This is the third time I've revisited it. And, you know, like Mike and his 15-year-old self, you know, some of the things I did 25 years ago on this were something else, getting corrected this time. So who knows? Anyway, maybe it'll be a better receiver this time around. I don't think so, but it might be. So with that, we'll say 73. I'll be net control next week. So back to Carla. W4DVQ, WA7YBS, 73 all.
7 YBS 54 Delta Quebec. Well, very good, guys. Everybody did good, and we're in the whole net. So, 73 to everybody. And I want to go ahead and close this net. This is Whiskey 4 Delta Victor Quebec, securing the Vintage Military Radio Net. I would like to thank everyone for their participation and invite everyone back next Sunday morning where Henry will be there. So we are now going to turn it frequency over to regular energy 73, guys. W4DVQ signing off.
Thanks, Carla. And you still around, Henry?
Go ahead.
Before Henry and I engage in conversation. Okay, WA7MS. Well, interesting on the ATD that we both have that anomaly in the lower sideband portion based on John's YouTube channel. I thought it was interesting that we both have the same nuance, weak lower sideband and a little suck out around 1,000 hertz.
Yeah, I noticed that on the pan adapter, and of course when I went to the dynamotor, it improved a lot. But yes, and I kind of noticed the fact that there's a screen winding resolution transformer or some weirdness like that that's inherent in all the ATDs. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I figured that. It's interesting. Yeah, ours are virtually the fingerprints match on lower sideband for you and I. And I'm glad it improved because there definitely was an improvement. But it was interesting because it's such a simple schematic. I pulled out took a look at the print. There's really virtually nothing there, but yeah, the screen winding, and of course for you the ATD is more now. For me, my ATD was, you know, I had my way with it 2 years ago. It's, you know, it's, you know, I think you're at a level where you might have more ambition to research that issue. So the joke was with John on the telephone when we were discussing that was that we'll wait for Henry to figure it out.
Yeah, I think it's you know, it's one of those things that is just a characteristic of that transmitter. And you know, at the time, 1940, maybe 1939, when they were designing it, they didn't even really have any way of seeing it. You know, well, I guess they had pan adapters, but did they really use them? And not in the way that we do, anyway. And so, yeah, I think it's one of those things. It isn't heard on the air. It really isn't noticed, even when you have you know, I have the scope on the wave envelope looking at it, and I really don't see it there. I just see it on John's pan adapter. So I think it's just one of those invisible things that, yeah, nature of the beast, I guess.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with you, but it was interesting that we had confirmation from your ATD, because I hadn't really paid much attention to it till the reinvigoration and reinterest in firing the ATD up with you a few weeks ago. And you're right, because on a modulation analyzer, irregardless of type, analog, digital, whatever. It all looks good, positive and negative peaks, looks good on the scope. But when you're looking at a spectrum analysis of it, it's an interesting phenomenon, and I'm sure you are correct. But of course, you know, in kind of a sarcastic way, it could be like a 10-page article for electric radio on how you fixed it. It's not going to kill me, but yeah. Side story: I checked into the AMI net on Wednesday night with the ATD since I was so reinvigorated. Thank you, Henry, with the 30S1, and that was the comment I got back from Net Control, was an analysis of lower sideband. It wasn't embarrassing, but he was like, "That's really weird."
That is really weird, but yeah. Well, I did, you know, on the ATD write-up, I did put that on the net. You know, that is on Radio Boulevard now, the write-up, quite lengthy on the ATD, you know, to get it, what it took to get it going and all that junk. And there is, you know, some mention of once I had it on the air, that lower sideband deal. And I did mention in there that looking at your ATD on the pan adapter on wavelength and mine, that the lower sideband was identical. You know, as far as it not being as robust as the upper sideband, but yeah, that's weird. But anyway, yeah, I'm not gonna. I don't write for electric radio. I write for the website, so I just put everything on the website. So you know, I don't know if anybody sees it or not, but it keeps me busy.
Yeah, well, okay, Henry. Yeah, I figured it would end up on the website, but you hadn't. Usually, you make a general announcement, so I'll go check it out. Didn't know you'd composed and edited and loaded the website with that, so I'll check it out. Yeah, it was just a little sarcasm on the ER. I know that you know, you have your own website and self-interest as opposed to ER, but it would certainly spice up the article assortment, which is getting tad on the sad side. But that's just, you know, not to criticize Ray and the folks out there. I still enjoy seeing it every other month. But yeah, great. I just wanted to throw that one out there and talk to you on the air on this, so we could converse on that subject. Good luck on the warming temperatures and the paint job. Just a side story, I've been doing my gutters and fascia board on the house here. And Tuesday, my south-facing fascia was ready for paint, but I thought, what, you know, it's like, what's the rush? A couple hours a day, I'm retired, we got plenty of time before winter shows up. And then I took a look at the weather forecast for Wednesday. So needless to say, I was out there painting. And still had skepticism. Yeah, sure, it's the east side of the Sierras, but you know, half an inch 2 days later, it was a nice little storm. W7MS, have a good Sunday.
Okay, thanks, Mike. 73, and I am in the process of doing the ATD. Going to go through John's, you know, W6MIT's linear. So the next time the ATD is on, it'll be doing about 130, 140 watts. So even maybe more anomalies will be present then. 73. Have a good one.
Yeah, final. Yes, there is a carrier up on. Carla had mentioned that. And it's probably not by intention, but up on 7.5. And it's been there all along, but it's easy to tune out a zero beat. But we'll just see if it's back here next week. W7MS.